What do you tell people that want to get into trading and especially that want to trade with a prop firm? What's your like number one piece of advice as somebody who's gotten over 6 figures in payouts? Clay, what stands out to you? Because you know Derrick, you've coached Derrick, you've worked with him before Top One was even really a thing. What stands out to him compared to the other people that, are buying combines and losing? What's the differentiator between Top One and FTMO and all these other firms from your perspective? Do you guys see prop firms, funding companies, whatever you want to call them, do you see that taking away from traditional brokerage over the next 10, 20, 30 years, do you think? Do you think more people are going to do this or less?
Oh, man. So anyways, this book.
I was just going to say, you mentioned the VWAP. Here we go.
Yeah.
Let's touch tips, Derrick.
I got mine over there.
If I was sitting behind a desk at a bank, investing their funds as an investment banker into the market, I wouldn't be throwing, I wouldn't be risking, 2% per trade of the bank's money, per trade and things like that. So I really had to get the discipline.
What's up, traders? We're continuing our streak of talking to some serious traders who have seen some serious payouts as we go into September. Today, I'm talking to Derrick Leger, as well as Clay Hodges. You may know Clay from the work that we've done together. Clay is also the owner of Top One, the sponsor of the show. But Derrick is one of the top traders with Top One. He's been paid out by Top One over $100,000 this year. And he's also gotten paid out from other prop firms. So he is a killer and you would never really expect it. He used to be a nurse. He's a nice guy, but he's got an incredible story. So I'm going to shut up and I'm going to let you listen to my conversation with the boys here. It's a good one. Make sure you stay all the way through and put comments down on the YouTube video here if you want to see Derrick back on the show and what you guys want me to ask him when we come back. So enjoy the conversation with Derrick. Thank you to Clay for setting this up. Thank you to Top One for being a sponsor. And now let's get into the episode. The sponsor of today's episode is Top One Trader. If you've been a listener, you know Top One has been a sponsor for a while, and that's because they continue to deliver. And there's two factors that I think separate them from all the other CFD prop firms out there right now. Now, they are a top 30 firm, and if you look at all of the other top 30 firms, this is not happening anywhere else. Number one, payouts in an hour or less, as fast as 8 minutes. It's crazy. It's like almost unbelievable. And also customer service that they actually answer your question when you hit the live chat in as quick as 60 seconds. Some of these firms, we won't mention names, take 2 weeks to get back to you. So when it comes to an industry that is very competitive, where you can get funded with so many different firms, you've got to find those standout features. All the challenges are basically the same price. All of the rules are basically the same. But where Top One separates themselves, like I said, is in payout speed and reliability and customer service. So if you're looking to get funded with CFDs, check out Top One Trader. Use the link down below or flying in above the screen. That'll save you some money. The code is ASFX. That's going to save you 30%. We appreciate them for being a sponsor. Now let's get back to the show. What's up, traders? Welcome back to the podcast. We've got a very special guest in the building. Clay Hodges is here, a regular Clay, becoming a regular to our community, but happy about that. And Derrick Leger. Derrick, did I say that correct?
Leisure.
Derrick Leger. Derrick, it's good to have you on the show, man. So everybody listening, we are super pumped for this conversation. Clay introduced me to Derrick. He's one of the top traders at Top One. You guys know Top One has been the sponsor of the podcast for 6 months, almost a year now. And Derrick's here to talk to us today about how he's been able to pull over $100,000 out of Top One after having some mixed results from what I hear, right, Derrick, from other firms. Top One and you have kind of just matched. I know a lot of that is due to Clay and his trading systems, right? So we're going to kind of get into all that. So let's rewind really quick. Derrick, how did you get into trading originally before even Clay?
Well, so, okay. So I was a registered nurse for years. That's what I did. That was my normal, regular job in the world. And I came like on some hard times, some life just punched me in the face. You know what I mean? I lost my son and that was a tough time, And,
sorry to hear that, man. Can't even imagine.
And I handled it poorly. Basically the bottom line is, I went to drugs is where I ended up going. I had easy access as a nurse, things like that. And And, my life went in the wrong direction for a long time. For a while, I was like, my wife and I, we were the young couple on the block, that everyone looked to. It was like, wow, they're doing really well in life. And, things were going great for us. And then, life just has that way of, knocking you down sometimes. So, uh, I, long story short, I pulled myself out of that I built a couple of the old network marketing companies. That was the direction I went into, and did really well with that. We were a top income earner in two different companies, and and at the same time, as a matter of fact, we were making some sick money, multiple six figures, and it was just coming in, and we were spending it like it was going to always come in, and
Of course.
right, that's the whole residual thing, and but of course, both companies ended up getting shut down within a month of each other.
Wow.
So we went from, multiple six figures to zero literally overnight. And we're like,
Wow.
well, no, and my wife's a nurse too. I'm like, we can both go back to nursing and work 100 hours a week, and we're never going to come close to the income that we were used to having. So that wasn't the solution. And, I saw people trading online, and I didn't have any experience with it, but it always kind of, I don't know, just caught my attention, because I loved it. After I lost those businesses, I'm like, I will never do referral based marketing again, because there's so many things outside of our control. I put myself on the lines, letting everyone know this is the best thing going. You can, build a life here and all of that. And, decisions were made that I didn't have control of, which made both companies ended up getting shut down. So I knew I was never going to put myself in that situation again. So I wanted to learn trading. I had a buddy of mine that was doing some trading, and my wife actually said, hey, he's like, you're good with numbers and, and all of that. So why don't you try trading? And I didn't do that for about a few months. And then without her even knowing, I reached out to that dude and I'm like, hey man, I'm like, so what's going on with this trade and stuff? So he kind of got me, along that path, and I started learning. And what intrigued me was I knew I had control. Whether I succeeded or failed, it was up to me. And I didn't have to convince anyone of anything, persuade anybody of anything. Yep. I could sit behind my computer, learn a trade, and learn how to make the kind of money that I was accustomed to making. And that was, what was drawing me. So it's all gung ho. I figured, I'll be replaced with this income within 6 months. And, 3 years later, I was down probably about $100,000 and, trying to buy courses and, losing money, of course, failing challenges, losing my regular accounts and all of those things. And then I stumbled across Clay. I was looking for something. I knew. I was talking to Clay about this earlier. I said, all these people that are apparently making money out there trading, there's no way that they're all that much smarter than me or more bright, something, they know something that I don't. And I wish someone would tell me what the hell it is, because I couldn't figure out, what I was missing. And so, I stumbled across Clay, and I resonated with his videos and his sales pages and for his system and everything right away. And I told Sherry, I said, I don't care what this costs. I'm investing in it because I know, this is the direction I need to take. So that's what I did. And, it took a little bit of learning, of course, but, once learning his system and finally, and this is another thing I told him earlier, I married a specific strategy. I quit jumping. I realized that one of the things I was missing was, I would try a strategy. I'd win 2, lose 3. I'd be like, well, that's not the right strategy. And I'd go find another one and go find another one. And so I knew a little bit about a lot of them, but, never mastered any of them. And, so
I have a question for you on that real quick. Yeah. When you got started, was it with, I guess it doesn't matter if I say like iMarkets Live?
No,
it wasn't. Okay. I didn't know that.
No, I've never even heard of it, as a matter of fact.
Yeah. Really? Okay. It was like around 2018 and Like a network marketing for trading.
I was in iMarkets Live.
Yeah, I was in the like predecessor to that, like in 2015.
So and let me just piggyback off that before we keep going, Derek. Great information so far. And I think a lot of the listeners will relate to your story. Shout out to Sherry, man. Shout out to the wife for pushing you. I give my wife a lot of credit. It doesn't happen often. I deal with a lot of people who have unsupportive spouses.
Yes.
So to have her, listeners, take note. You need a powerful woman behind you to kick you in the ass sometimes and say, hey, you can do that. That's probably up your alley. So shout out to Sherry. Now, so you found Clay.
Yeah.
What about Clay stood out to you that you were like, I think what he's talking about is worth the investment. I can make it work. Was there anything specific? I know he's unbelievably handsome, but what else?
Well, that was it, man.
That was it. That's how we know he can trade. Right.
Now, what it was Sherry thought he was handsome. No.
There it goes. This is and then they hit me up. They just DM'd me a pineapple, and I was like,
right. Oh, here we go.
Shit. Here we go.
Down, baby.
Upside down pineapple.
I'm going in the wrong direction. No. So anyways, I think, it was, I could tell, I feel, especially after my years of, being a nurse and being in network marketing and dealing with, tens of thousands of people, building huge teams, it's, I don't know. I guess I became accustomed to recognizing authenticity, and I could tell, Clay was authentic, and it wasn't just another, supposed guru out there trying to, sling a system or trying to make a buck. I'm like, man, this dude's real, and he had real testimonials on his page, and I don't know. I
Derek, come on, he could pay for those. No, I'm just kidding.
Right.
So but this is the thing, dude. And like, this is what we say at Top One. I talk about it in my emails and stuff too, is a big difference. Austin, I think I resonate with you and why we linked up too, just to go off what Derek was saying. There's a big difference between saying, hey, I'm at the top of the mountain. What are y'all doing down there? And being like, hey, like, I'm working on this right now. I'm a little bit further ahead of y'all. I do this every day. It's working out. Let's all go to the top together. Right. And that's 100%. Like a big thing where I always try to come from too. And how Derek,
and that's why people like it 100%. Yeah. So Derek, now you find Clay at this time. Is Top One a thing, or were you working with Clay before Top One?
Way before Top One. Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
Cool.
It was like 2021. It was like COVID, or 2020 really, right? It was like,
coming out of COVID.
I was in Nashville. It was full on COVID. Yeah.
And at that time, trying different challenges or trading your own money?
Both.
Yeah. FTMO.
Yeah.
FTMO. Okay. And then from there, how did it progress? Like, were there payouts out of those firms, or were all of your payouts mainly once you got with Top One and that all kind of?
It was after. Well, I got lots of payouts in between meeting Clay and Top One.
Got it.
But I didn't get any payouts before meeting Clay.
Got it. So that's the point. Okay. So now before we go to the Top One part of the journey, what could you say? Because I got listeners that are trading with every firm on the planet. You've traded with other firms. You've got payouts from them. You've traded with Top One. You got payouts for them. What's the differentiator between Top One and FTMO and all these other firms from your perspective? What's up, boys? Before we get going with the rest of this episode, I've got to give a shout out to TradeZella. You guys know they've been a sponsor of the podcast before, but now they've actually opened up another discount code for you guys. So TradeZella is a trade tracking software that allows you to pinpoint the areas of your trading that are holding you back, your biggest weaknesses. But more than just thinking about the vagueness of like, man, I'm just taking too many trades, it actually will give you the specific data behind those mistakes so you know what to improve. And again, I could talk about this for an hour, but the new discount that they just opened up for everybody is a yearly discount of 20%, which is huge. They normally don't do sales at all. So now, if you use the link in the description, you can take 10% off your monthly membership using the code ASFX10, or take 20% off your yearly membership with the code ASFX20. Again, the codes and the link is down in the description. Make sure you check it out. If you're really taking your trading seriously, if you want to be a professional trader like myself and the guests that I have on this show, you've got to use TradeZella. It is a no-brainer. I love Umar. I love their team. This has nothing to do with that. Their software is incredible. It's hands down the most user-friendly, easy to access, easy to upload. Everything is super smooth. The only thing is you not wanting to confront your losses. This makes you do it. This makes you confront those weaknesses, and it helps you turn them into strengths. So check it out. Use the link in the codes down below. Now let's get back to the video.
Yeah, well, I mean, the biggest thing for me, honestly, is I think is the bottom line that everyone's concerned with are the payouts. Like I never get any excuses every time I submit for a payout. Uh, if I'm not doing anything wrong, which I'm not, it gets approved within minutes. The payout gets submitted to the processor within minutes, and it's literally within my checking account within an hour every time.
Crazy.
Yeah, it's showing up in my checking as a pending deposit within an hour from the time I submit my payout in Top One. And that's never happened with any other firm. And Top One has a lot of other great attributes. It's leadership. There's all sorts of little things that do make a big difference. But the bottom line is people want paid out, and they want to know if I am able to pull this off and I'm able to accomplish some good payouts, I'm actually going to get paid, and I'm going to be able to pay my bills, feed my family, and do these things with it. And I have never in any of the payouts I got from any of the other firms, which has been several, gotten a payout within an hour.
No, the speed is incredible. But like you said before, with the network marketing companies that kind of yanked the rug underneath you, a prop firm could do the same thing. They could be like, yeah, come trade with us and blah, blah, blah. And then you're about to get the payout and then boom, it's gone. So having trust in that leadership is huge. I think we have to talk about something that I don't get to speak to people like yourself enough about, Derrick. It's what was the payout? What did it look like when you took the first payout to one of your more recent payouts? Because I think people are under the impression you go from 0 payouts to fat, big payouts. What did
Yeah.
that scale look like for you?
Yeah, my first payout, I remember it well because I was like doing jumping jacks and stuff when I got it. It was
Of course.
$300. And yeah, I was stoked because I'm like, oh my gosh, money actually came in instead of going out for once. And that was, of course, my smallest payout I ever took, but it was my first, and I was just ecstatic, and so it took a little bit of time. I remember, my first, $1,000 payout, and then, my first $3,000 payout, and then my first five-figure payout. It just kept, going up. And then it's been quite a journey, and each one is a revelation as to what's possible. And
100%.
yeah. So
How often are you taking payouts now, coming from
uh,
that $300 payout to multiple 5-figure payouts?
yeah, usually once a month. Yeah,
Nice.
yeah, once a month. Yeah.
That's what I think is a good recommendation. Clay, do you see people at Top One taking payouts quicker than usually once a month? Oh, I lost you.
I was muted. Yeah, you can opt in for biweekly payouts or whatever. I mean, I remember when Derrick got that first payout, because of course he hit me up on Telegram. I was like, dude, stop trading right now and just like wait and get the payout, because like that is so much more important because every trader, and including myself, you want to be like, all right, time to get paid, and try to run up that first payout before you even get paid. And then the thing is like you end up shooting yourself in the foot, self-sabotaging. It's so much more important.
I've been there too. I've been there.
Yeah, totally, for sure. And I don't know, Derrick probably wouldn't mind, me saying, I think it was like 4 months ago, I hopped on Zoom with Derrick, and you hit a bit of a slump, right?
Yeah, sure.
Do you mind sharing about that, or like?
Yeah, no, not at all. I mean, just like, when we went through that whole MT4 fiasco,
Right, totally.
in the United States, that I don't know, it just psychologically it did something to me, because I was so used to trading in a certain way and through certain devices, and when I lost that ability, it seemed like I'd lost a lot of other abilities. I was it just translated to making poor trading decisions. I didn't feel that confidence. Confidence is so important in trading, and just having that confidence shaken, it hurt me for a little bit. I definitely went through slump, and so no matter what, anyone can go through a slump. No matter how many payouts you take and all of that, it can happen because it's all right here. It's all in the brain. And I lost my confidence, and it's hard to get back. You can't just flip a switch and get your confidence back. But
Nope. Build it back slowly. Yeah, I think a lot of people struggled when that switch, the big fiasco at the beginning of this year happened where we lost MetaTrader. You have to do new trading platforms, learn how to put risk on correctly. It is a lot and it can
Yeah.
definitely lead to hiccups. I remember the first time I traded on MetaTrader, I
Mhm.
traded a live account, of course, because why would I trade a demo account? And I accidentally put on 10 lots when I meant to put on one lot. And I torched the entire account because it was a small account literally in a second with high leverage and then just not knowing what you're doing. Boom, it's gone. So
Yep.
anytime I think you go to a new platform, you encounter that. But when you speak to, I'm sure Derek, you spoke it to some of the other traders in around you. I'm sure your friends are talking about it because you're a network marketing guy. So you've probably talked to people. What do you tell people that want to get into trading and especially that want to trade with a prop firm? What's your like number one piece of advice as somebody who's gotten over six figures in payouts?
Well, if someone's brand new, I let them know that they need to you just got to take the time. You can't let that greed factor become a thing. You got to take the time. You got to learn the trade. This is a profession. It takes time to learn. People that try to treat it like it's a slot machine, it's not going to work out for them. So you got to take it slow. You got to learn the basics. You got to learn the terminology. You got to know what a pip is. You got to know all the basic things. And once you learn those things, you got to really practice with the demo account for a while. And it's I try to relay to people that they need, like my son he's wanting to learn trading now. So, I'm talking to him about some of these very things right now. And when you're trading a demo account, you got to treat that like it's real money. Like you are going to get a payout. As difficult as that might be, because you're like, I'll throw 8 lots on that. Whatever. Yeah, I'll put 15 lots on this gold, short. And things like that. Like you wouldn't do that if it's real money and you couldn't do it in real life. And they're like, wow, I just made 25 grand. Well, no, you didn't, because you never would have done that. So you got to treat those demo accounts like it's a real account. Because if you don't, you're gonna fall flat on your face when you try to trade real
I
money.
I totally agree with you, Derek, but I know there's going to be listeners that don't like to hear that. The people don't want to hear trade practice account. They're going to give you the excuse of, well, it doesn't have real emotions attached to it. And like you just said, be disciplined and act like it's real. Show you have that discipline. Because if you
Right.
can't, then you're probably not going to make it as a trader. I
Yeah.
totally agree. So wait,
Yeah.
now Clay, what stands out to you? Because you know Derek, you've coached Derek, you've worked with him before Top One was even really a thing. What stands out to him compared to the other people that are buying combines and losing?
Yeah, I mean, it's an easy answer for me. It's your risk management. So, of course, you are using my system and strategy, and I'm very partial to that. But I know it works, but it doesn't work if you put on 6 trades at a time, or
Sure.
10 trades at a time, or and when you just said, if on that demo account, if you put 15 lots on gold and try it on a live account, or you wouldn't do it on the live account. The fact is most people have, and like that's the time that it doesn't go, that you don't make 25K and it's
Right.
gone in 10
Yep.
minutes, and then you can't your
Torched.
girlfriend or whoever asks
Yep.
like, hey, what's going on with you? And you're just like, oh, nothing, it's fine.
Right.
It's
But it's
like,
not fine. So
but everything is definitely not fine. So, but yeah,
Yeah.
to answer your question, Austin, I mean, it's easy answer for me because I know Derrick's risk management, and yeah, and that's it for sure.
paint that more. Come on, we got to go into this because the listeners are going to be hearing that. They're going to be like,
Well,
okay, Clay,
yeah, I
give
mean,
us, what is he
I
doing?
want Derrick
Cutting
to,
losers faster? Yeah, talk to us, Derek. Cutting
yeah, I
losers
want Derrick to
faster,
just talk about the risk management plan.
adding
Yeah.
in, piecing out. What does it look like?
Well, see, that was probably one of my biggest missing ingredients. Remember when I said, these people, they can't all be that much smarter than I am, and I was missing something. Well, that
Yeah.
was one of the big things that I was missing, and I had to learn some hard lessons that were expensive. And the way I did that was realizing, man, you gotta earn these chunks small. If you don't want to lose big chunks, you gotta be willing to just gain smaller chunks as you go, and treat it professionally. If I was sitting behind a desk at a bank, investing their funds as an investment banker into the market, I wouldn't be throwing, I wouldn't be risking, 2% per trade of the bank's money, per trade and things like that. So I really had to get the discipline to just like for me personally, I have one trade at risk at any one time. That's what
Okay.
and I'm not saying that's the formula for everyone or whatever.
I'm
But
the
for
same way.
yeah, and once one is at least to break even, it's enough to where I can do a trailing stop and set it at break even. Then I'm willing to take on something else and put something else at risk. But I'll only be at risk with one trade at once in an ideal world.
That sounds so simple, dude, and that is like the hardest thing in the world
It
to
is
do.
the
I mean,
hardest.
at
Well, yeah,
least
'cause
for me,
people want the
it depends
they
on
want
like your personality profile and everything, but yeah.
what's helped me with that is I only trade one asset now. So what's your favorite asset, Derek? What are you doing most of your trading on today? Hey guys, I just want to let you know the free futures course that I put out a few weeks ago has been crushing it. We've had over 1,200 people sign up already. We have over 150 positive reviews. So if you're sleeping, if you're living under a rock, now is the time to grab this free futures course. I'm putting the link in the description. There's no gimmick, no catch. Go to whop.com, WHOP.com/ASFX, and you can grab the free course for yourself. If you watch it, leave me a review. That's all I ask. Now let's get back to the video.
Well, I like the yen a lot. I like trading the yen and of course the US dollar, so I'll do a lot of UJ and I like a lot of the GP pairs as well, a lot
Yep.
of GJ and GU.
Nice. And then you mentioned one trade at a time. How many trades per week do you think you take?
That completely varies because sometimes I'll enter a trade on Monday morning
Mhm.
and I don't have that sucker set to break even until Thursday, and
Got it.
then I won't take on another trade if it's a Thursday because I don't particularly like holding over the weekends. I do
No,
times, but I'm not into those, Sunday night surprises. It's like, because it doesn't have to respect where it ended.
100%. 100%. So
That,
two
that,
good things I would take from that is you're cutting your losers fast. You're
mhm,
taking profits on your winners, trying not to be greedy. You
mhm.
go to break even to minimize your loss, and you're swing trading. You're not just day trading and scalping. You're swing trading for some of your
Yeah,
bigger
I'm swing
trades.
trading for sure. Yeah, I usually try to keep things for as long as I can ride it out,
Yeah,
and but that's part of, my trend based kind of trading. Usually a trend, if it's a true trend, it's gonna last longer than a day,
especially on Forex pairs. Absolutely.
Yeah,
What are you
And,
doing
right.
about the new? Go ahead, Clay.
well, yeah, I was gonna say, like, and it gets back to because our trading setups are very similar, Austin and
Mhm,
mine.
mhm.
But you trade, SPY and just stick to that's what you're trading now, right? Just but yeah, so anyways, I'm more it's two camps, and the way I always break it down is you're either just get damn good on one asset or get really good at identifying a specific pattern, especially if it's a trend-based pattern, which is more what I do and taught Derek to do. So like with
Yeah,
with
because
the
I see
setup.
you, bro. You're trading CHF JPY sometimes. You're
Right.
trading
Well, so
UJ.
I can, and this is it. Just I identify a trend, look for a pullback in the trend. That's it. Right. And Dr. Paul, wasn't that his name? He's
Yep.
like yeah, he's one of my favorite guys to watch. And that's his setup. And I thought I came up with it, but then I saw
Didn't
like all his videos where he's talking about it. But
didn't
yeah,
you just get a nice payout recently too, bro?
I did. Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so just for validity speaking, everybody, Clay is not just here to talk up his firm. He actually is taking money from other firms too, just to make sure that they're staying on their toes. So
It's true. I can't say which one because like I've gotten payouts denied because they're
yeah,
like,
no,
oh,
I know. That's
you're
why we won't mention their company.
right.
Right.
But yeah, it was good. 17K. But the thing is it took like 6 days to get. And I was like, damn, man, top one. I
You
wish
just
it was
do it
us,
different, bro.
dude.
You guys do it so different.
Yeah.
Nobody is doing what you're doing with the speed of the payouts at all. So that's really good information. Let me just go a couple more details, if you don't mind, Derek. What time of day? You said in the morning on a Monday. What is it all morning? Do you ever do any evening trading?
Not normally, unless something just like looks super, super juicy to me or whatever, I will, because I try to always be in tune with the market and, pay
Sure.
attention to what's going on.
Yep.
And if something's crossing at that monthly VWAP or something, at 8 o'clock at night, I'll be like, all right, that's my confirmation. I'm gonna ride this one out. Only if I'm able to take on another risk.
Sure.
I'm still not going to break my trading plan and take on more risk just
Right.
because something looks great. I
Absolutely.
can't say that I'm 100% always disciplined to that.
Of course.
That's my plan, and I stick to it the vast majority of the time. There are exceptions, to be honest, but those are exceptions I'm taking, very riskily, and I wouldn't recommend that. But
And Derek, what book are you reading right now?
oh man, so anyway, it's this book.
I was just gonna say, you mentioned the
Yeah.
VWAP. Here we go. Let's touch tips, Derek.
I got
Come on.
mine over there. Yeah, we get sword fight.
Yeah.
No, but so Derek, what are you doing with the VWAP? What are you as a swing trader? Are you using a start a month, a start a week? Tell us how you're using the VWAP.
Okay,
I'm
so
sure
what
the
I'm
listeners
doing
like
is,
that.
yeah, the book goes into this, and I love, like, what I'll do. I do a monthly and a weekly both. Okay, and then I'll anchor it to certain highs and certain lows. To very significant areas, and then what I look at is the interplay between those VWAPs. If I'm doing, like, for example, if I have a weekly and a monthly going, and the VWAPs are here, and if it's playing in between, well, that means that neither buyers or sellers have control. It's still indecisive, and that's not a good setup for me. But so what I do is, I follow Clay's strategy as far as the trend-based trading, incorporate the VWAPs into that, and then when there's a breakout to where the price point is above both the weekly and the monthly VWAP, or below, I'm either taking a long or a short because it's trending. It's objectively the sellers are in control or the buyers are in control. When there's no emotion involved in that decision. It's an objective fact that, and then I've learned, I'm in the long run, I am not going to beat the overall sentiment of the market. If I'm looking for longs and it's sitting below both a monthly and a weekly VWAPs, I'm doing it wrong. Because then at that point that is scalping. You're just trying to scalp that.
Time it. You're trying to time it too much, right?
Yeah. And man, I'm just not smart enough for that. I'll be first to admit it.
It's so true.
It's true.
Yeah, I want to go with the sentiment of the market. When sellers are in control, I'm looking for shorts. But mainly, to answer your question specifically, I'm looking for the interplay between a couple of the VWAPs. I'm not just focused on one, because you could be looking at the monthly VWAP and it's above it, so buyers are in control. Well, that thing might retrace 300 pips if you're looking at the monthly before it does what it's supposed to do, or reverses and sellers take control. Well, I'm not holding a trade for 3 months. I don't have time to do that. So I'm looking at the interplay between the two, comparing it, with the trend. And then when I get those alerts that it's, crossed whatever specific VWAP I'm looking for within the trend, then that's when it's a good setup.
Dude, that's awesome. I didn't know you're looking for, so basically the confluences between the two.
Yes.
And so, okay, so because I anchor on the weekly VWAP as well, we just took a hard turn into VWAP territory.
Yeah.
But yeah, real quick, I'm just curious. So when it's early in the week, anchoring on the weekly, say it's Monday, and you can't really get it's hard to get a read, especially on, say, like, because I'm trading more of a 4-hour time frame, hourly, looking at it. It's really hard to tell what's going on. The VWAP hasn't spread out and got much distance. So what do you do early in the week when you're using the weekly as an anchor?
Well, that's where the comparison comes in.
Okay.
Yeah. If it's a Monday morning or something like that. And a lot of times, like I said, I'll anchor to, very significant areas. If it really wicked high or really wicked low, I'll anchor a VWAP to that, then compare it with a weekly and a monthly. Sometimes I'm looking at 3. In fact, a lot of times I'm looking at all 3. I'm looking at an anchored position at a specific price point or range, and the weekly and the monthly, and looking how the price is playing with all three of those. Ideally it's the price is on, the bottom or the top side of all three. So even if it's early in the week, that's enough of a confirmation for me, as long as the other things within your strategy are fitting as well.
Yep. You're looking for those check boxes.
Yeah.
Yep. I got you.
That's an A+ setup for me.
Clay, I'm glad you're getting on the VWAP too. We could start a boy band, be the VWAP boys, call Brian Shannon and tell him
The
what's up.
VWAPs, the VWAPs doo-wop.
The VWAPs do
Like
up.
it would
Yeah,
be like
something like that.
1950s doo-wop.
Yep. We'll just snap our fingers and wear top hats.
Yeah.
The VWAP is a crazy indicator. I mean, I'm sure you've played with other indicators in the past, right, Derek? It's just nothing works as well as the fucking VWAP.
Nothing shows, like, I've never found anything that is so objective.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's just like, hey, buyers have control right now. It's taking in price, time, volume. It's calculating all three of those things in some sort of calculus that I'll never figure out, but it doesn't matter. I don't have to, because that's what that line.
You don't have to. Yep.
Not to mention how versatile it is too.
Oh, of course. Yeah, absolutely.
Because you can anchor it, and like, say if I'm looking to hold, and if it's like price is rolling over, like it's a downtrend, price is pulled back, and then the entry on the pullback, then I'll anchor it at the top, and then I'll know, hey, if we're crossing back into the VWAP or across it, time to get out and change my bias.
Well, I'll use it. So I trade a lot of SPY. I trade ES in the futures market. The Mag 7, I'll have an anchored VWAP to their all-time high. And because the Mag 7 is such a heavy weight on SPY and NASDAQ, if we're near or above all-time high VWAP on all the Mag 7, I lean more bullish. Buyers are in control. I also use it on my swing trades for my stocks that I, buy and I hold for a long time. Like for Apple, I'll put an all-time high VWAP. When that's broken, I know I want to be building into my position. When that VWAP is taken, I like to buy the dip, but I buy the dip a little bit less aggressively because it can keep dipping, as Brian says in the book. I've done 2 podcasts with Brian, Derek, and chatted with him after and before. Like, he's given us some good time. He's a really, really, really nice guy. And I would be hard pressed to say that there's somebody in the industry that's made as much money as him and still puts out the value that he puts out. And it really reinforces to me that good traders want to pay it forward. Like myself, like Clay, guys that are doing okay, typically want to help people and get them going and say, hey, I can shortcut your learning curve. I lost a lot. So let me ask you, Derek, when you think back on your career, as you've kind of laid it out for us, what are some of those moments that you use as a reference to say, look, I made this mistake, don't make this mistake? If you were talking to a new trader or someone you met because you're such a networker and they're like, I'm thinking about getting into trading. If there was 1 or 2, even 3 things you were like, watch out for this, what would it be?
Yeah, well, one thing is, obviously the risk, not to beat that dead horse, but it's just true, can't tell you how many times where I wouldn't even sleep at night, and I would be a zombie the next day because I was so worried about, what I had going on my screen. I'm like, oh my God, if I wake up to a disaster, I don't even know what I'm going to do, and if you're feeling like that, man, you're way too much leveraged out. You should never feel like, my world is going to end if I wake up and all of these things go the wrong way. That means you got way too much at risk. So
a great analogy, by the way. Yeah. Everybody knows that feeling if you're watching this podcast.
Yeah.
100%.
That was that's probably the biggest thing, because no true professional of any industry should have to be that concerned to where you can't even get sleep, where it affects your personal life. It affects, your ability to, I got plans with my wife the next day, she found out, I slept on the couch all night. I snuck out of bed because I didn't want to keep her up because I was up all night sweating, and, we're ready to, we were in Boston for a while, like, hey, we're going to go to, this actually happened. We were supposed to go to Salem the next day. But I'm like, I can't go. I'm like, I haven't even been to bed yet, and
great tip. Great tip.
Yeah, it should never be like that. So that's probably the biggest thing. It all comes to making sure that you're leveraged appropriately for whatever account you're in, so that and that's a good gauge to know if you are or not. If you have like shit ton of anxiety inside yourself, you're probably doing it wrong.
Do you think that like overly high expectations lead to people oversizing, and then they go swinging because they're like, yo, I see Derrick making 5K a week, why can't I go make 5K a week? Let's go. And then like they're not ready for that.
Yeah, it's either like, people are overly aggressive for lots of reasons, whether it's just their greed nature coming out, either
Yep.
that or desperation. It's like, oh my God, I got a mortgage coming up, and I got these two bills, and my wife's gonna kick my ass if I don't bring home some kind of a check. And I've been spending too much, and spending all this time, I need to have something to show for, whatever the case might be, whether, desperation or greed, whatever it is, usually leads to over leveraging.
It's true. You make me think of something interesting here. Clay, tell me if I'm wrong. You told me that the guys that are getting the most payouts trade gold and US 30. But now we got Derrick, one of the, I would say, top dogs over the last couple of months, last year with you guys, who doesn't trade either of those things, it sounds like, that much.
Well,
what do you make of that?
Well, it's those are just the most traded assets.
Okay,
So
not the most payouts.
The most payouts, but also the most lost accounts, lost challenges, lost funded
Got
accounts.
it.
Because they're traded the most. Now, with what, the Nikkei crashing last, 3 weeks ago, I mean, tons of yen shorts, right? So lots of people trading the yen right now, or there was, and now gold's making its rallies. So a lot of traders seem to follow that, whatever's making the big move.
Yeah.
For better or worse, but
right.
the numbers are the same though, because it's
well,
like the same percentage of people, or the higher percentage are chasing it rather than.
I just thought that was
Derrick's
a unique outlier for Derrick.
Well, yeah. So Derrick, it's kind of like what I was saying earlier with, we look for specific setup, and then especially like that was all new stuff with how he's using the VWAP.
Yeah.
He lets the market come to him. Whereas a lot of people see like gold's making all-time highs and
they go chase it.
Exactly.
Yeah. It's cool that like, because think about how many prop firms there are, funding companies, whatever, how many will sit down with their top traders and actually talk to them. Like, you guys have such a good relationship together. It makes it so that this is a real profession. Because, Derrick, there's a lot of guys that are on Twitter that were traders back in the pits, and they talk so much shit about prop firms and funding companies. This isn't a real prop firm. It's not real. It's like, money's hitting my bank account, bro. It might not be what you define it as, but money's hitting. So that's all that matters. I think it's a great opportunity. So like, now, do you see, and this is like me just throwing a question kind of to both of you. Do you guys see prop firms, funding companies, whatever you want to call them, do you see that taking away from traditional brokerage over the next 10, 20, 30 years? Do you think more people are going to do this or less?
Derrick, you first.
Yeah, well, for me, I mean, I don't really view it that way at all. I mean, the way I'm viewing it as is, excuse me, and I swallowed wrong.
No, you're good.
I view it as an opportunity for people to build their own. I always, recommend to people that take a portion of your profits, whatever they are, and build your own account. Build your own funded, or not funded account, but build your own
trading account. Yeah,
your own trading account. And that way, no matter what, if the powers that be decide that this isn't going to be a thing anymore, with prop firms or whatever, you're not all of a sudden, with that other rug pull, that like I experienced before.
Absolutely.
So building your personal accounts up, and having the discipline to do that, and not pretending like this opportunity will be here forever. So, because it might be. And it might not be, but I'm not going to.
What in life is permanent, Derrick? Come on. Nothing.
That's right. Death and tax.
Man. Death and taxes, dude. And now they're coming for our unrealized capital gains taxes too. So they're just trying to get us in every which way when it comes to taxes.
Yeah.
That's a different podcast.
Your house increases the price it's worth, and you got to write a check.
Dude, can you believe that? Ridiculous. Like, they want to bankrupt the average American, dude. That's literally, like, that is the most unbelievable thing out of this. That is crazier to
Well,
me
see,
than
the
Trump
thing is,
getting
people
shot,
don't
bro.
understand what that means. So they're
Of
like,
course.
yeah, tax the rich.
Tax
And,
the
of
rich.
course,
No,
they're not
dude.
going to be they're not going to have to pay any
They
tax.
know how to not pay taxes. You
Right.
don't. You and me, we get screwed. Yeah, it's crazy. So
When
now
you're
you
taxing,
answer.
when you're
Yeah,
taxing real money on paper earnings,
that's
that creates problems.
that's problematic, definitely. What were you going to add to that, Clay, at all?
Well, yeah, I was going to say the exact same thing. It's kind of like, say, hey, CrossFit came out like 10 years ago or whatever, and people in traditional gyms are like, that's just stupid. That's retarded.
Yep,
You can't get
you're right.
fit that way. Look at these idiots. Now it's like, now gyms have CrossFit, centers or areas.
Literally, Crunch has like that center in the
Yeah,
beginning, in the middle of it with the turf and the whole thing. Yep.
Exactly. And also just like that, there's brokers now. Think Markets just opened a prop firm. ACAP used to have one. There's a few different that are run by brokers that are getting into the industry, right? So, I mean, just like sports betting and casinos, right? You can't do sports bets. Now casinos have a huge sports betting area. Right.
Huge.
So like huge, but yeah, so that's the thing. Like people like you can, and just like what Derrick said, if you want to crap on an opportunity and just to like create beef on Twitter, then like that's maybe your thing, I guess. But like for most traders, most people don't have 100K or 50K that they could learn risk management on, that they could blow, right? Because like you can pay $300 for a 50K account or 600, 500 for 100K. You're probably not going to get funded the first time. You're probably going to blow it. But, just like you said, I mean, when I started trading, I was working every 2 weeks doing construction to get a check. I would put it in a broker and I would do good for like 2 days and then blow it, and then take another 1,200 and put it in a broker, Trader's Way, and blow it. Right. So most people don't have that. So it's a huge
Don't say that name, bro. That Trader's Way, it scars me, bro. That was the first brokerage I ever traded with.
For
just
sure.
Lost money. Just lost money.
Ultimately, I think you should work to have your own trading account for sure.
Yeah.
And then
that's the ultimate goal.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. So Derrick, I got a couple more questions for you. This has been great, man. I take notes as we're talking. I got a ton of timestamps from this. This is going to be good. And audience, if you're listening this far through, do us a favor, go to YouTube. If you're listening on Spotify or iTunes or whatever, hit the comments. If there's any questions you want me to ask Derrick, I definitely can get Derrick, I'm sure, to come back on with Clay and we can do another podcast, because I don't think it's often you get to, it's one thing if me or even Clay, somebody who has like got a face in the industry, you make a video about how to get a payout. That's one thing, right? Like I can talk. But when you sit with somebody that's also getting those same size payouts, also pulling six figures out of prop firms, and you hear it from somebody like yourself, I just think it feels more real, Derrick. So I want the listeners, if there's any questions they have for you, tell us in the comments and we'll pull them up for round two. I want that connection to be made because I think this is an incredible opportunity. I was someone who sat on the sideline for a long time and didn't try prop firms and left money on the table, even when people close to me were doing it. So if you look at it now, Derrick, do you think Top One is one of the best firms, even though they're not the most popular, because of their customer service? Is that what you would recommend a new person who is not funded yet? You would recommend them to look for customer service as the standout and payout speed as the standout?
100%. Well, I can't tell you how many times I was denied payouts for complete nonsense.
Really?
Yeah. I had one. I remember this one because it was one of my first like big payouts, or something that I would have called a big payout at the time. It was an $8,000 payout.
Still big payout.
Yeah, and I traded the exact same lot size with every pair. Okay. And I probably maybe had two at risk or something, especially at that time in my trading career, but certainly not three. I was still being pretty conservative, very consistent lot sizes. I mean, they were identical. In fact, I remember that. They came back when I submitted my payout. It took them like a week. I finally heard back from them and they're like, we don't like your trading style. We're not going to pay you out. I'm like,
it's crazy.
My trading style? Like, what else could it be? It was the exact same lot every time. I'd never over leveraged. I wasn't, what are you talking about? Never heard back from them. Never, so like, customer service is everything. I mean, obviously that company had no integrity.
Of course.
They just weren't going to pay. So, I mean, integrity is a huge thing. And I know, the staff at Top One is just bubbling over with integrity,
It's
all of
true.
them. Anyone that I've ever interacted with, and I am not saying this because Clay's here.
Right. Yeah.
For those that don't know me yet, I will always tell the truth. That's one thing you can definitely rely on with me. And but I'm saying, they send me. I didn't even tell you this yet, Clay. I got a personal message from I don't even remember the dude's name. Someone from your firm yesterday, just congratulating me on my latest payout. I forget his name. I'd have to look.
Okay, yeah, let me know.
Never heard of them before, and completely unnecessary, but things like that, but customer service, it's seconds, and it's, one of the telltale signs for me is I so rarely need their customer service because they simply do what they say they're going to do. But sometimes weird things are going on, like on a website or whatever. I mean, with every technology. And so I'll reach out, and I'm telling it's never taken more than 60 seconds to be in touch with an actual person, having a real conversation about whatever problem I'm facing. And it's, I think twice I had to reach out to customer service since I've been with Top One over minor issues. And it was fixed, immediately before that conversation was over. Wasn't handed over to someone else. Well, we'll get back to you. Hey, none of that kind of thing. Always fixed. So yes, customer service, but integrity of everyone involved there, and that's what you want to look for. So I could not recommend Top One more strongly. To answer your question, that would definitely. If I had to start over, like when my son is going to start, I guarantee
that's what he's.
I will be helping him to be with Top.
So that brings me to my final question. For new traders like your son, what size account do you think they should go for? How should they figure that out to get funded?
Well, I don't know if there's, I never really thought about that before. Okay, honestly, like, I guess probably, a smaller account would be, like most people aren't in a position to where they have money to just throw around. So, just for the sake of, protecting your assets and protecting yourself. And, if you fail one, are you going to be able to afford to buy another? Are you spending your entire savings account to buy one challenge? That's a problem. But so, yeah, I would say, the smaller account, if you got if you can get a 50K challenge or something. And plus it's a little bit, I don't know, less emotions attached to it probably. If you're trading a, $250,000 account, it's, I don't know, it makes people nervous. They're not used to seeing those kind of numbers. And, it's like, oh my gosh, I lost, $5,000. Well, first of all, you lost 2%. And that's going to happen to the best of you. So, it'd be okay. But if you lose 2% on a 50K, well, you lost 1,000. Well, you can get that back. It's more palatable for most people to see those, especially newer people, to see those smaller kind of numbers. So for the sake of the cost of what it would cost you in order to get into a challenge, and for the sake of emotionally handling, certain percentage,
swings.
Yeah. It probably the smaller ones would be more suitable for the new ones.
And what do you think, Clay?
Well, I think he made some great points. I like the 100K account because it's so cut and dry, because you're like, okay, 8% target. So that's 108,000. Can't lose 5%, so there's really not much math involved. But ultimately, I would say you make a great whatever, like you don't want to spend your whole paycheck on a challenge. I think you should expect that it's a learning process. It might take 1, 2, 3, 10 challenges, and that's okay. If each challenge cost $500 and it was 10, well, I would get a paycheck and put 5,000 in at a time and lose it. And you're actually learning. If you change your mindset to be like, I'm learning risk management now, not to where like, oh, I can't do this, these rules are too tough. Because you have to learn risk management. And that's like exactly what, why Derrick is having the success, is because he finally was like, and this is a lesson everybody can learn. And literally have to at a certain point. They're like, okay, cool. I'm good with one trade at a time. That's what I'm doing. I'm risking 0.5% or 1% or whatever that is, but making those rules cut and dry. So where when you're breaking the rules too. Most people don't have enough rules to where they even know if they're breaking them,
And if I can add to that just real quick, I wanted to say like that's a great point because, prop firms make you, limit your risk, or at least the good ones do, and not over leverage. And what that does is, remember how I was talking about building your own live account? Well, these are things that should be carried over into your live account, because just because you have a live account and you don't have to follow certain risk protocols or whatever, well, that's when you blow it. And that's when but when you learn to handle risk like that, you can translate that to your live account. And you can, just be at one, that's what I do with I treat my live account the exact same way that I treat my funded accounts. Exactly the same, with the risk aversion and all of that. And because that teaches you, prop firms teach you how to trade correctly. And then you can apply that to your live account and then build that the same way.
100%. Love that. Love that as our final point, Derek. Thank you. Both of you. I really appreciate this. Clay, thank you for setting this up. Derek, thank you for giving us the time, man. This has been fantastic. I really, really appreciate it.
Excellent.
Listeners,
I think we should do like a VWAP episode.
We could definitely do that. Do some screen share, do some chart. Listeners, if you want the VWAP episode, we'll do a threesome on the VWAP. I could even see if Brian will join us. Yeah, I'm sure
that would be sick. That would be amazing, actually.
Yeah, dude, he's a cool guy, bro. He and I have built a good relationship online, so I think he might be down. So we'll have to see.
The thing about his book is like 95% of trading books have like one or two good things in it, and
no, his book is jam-packed. Is all
fluff.
It's unbelievable.
I'm like Derek and I were talking about it earlier. I'm like 2 paragraphs. I was, reading textbooks in school is not the best at it. I'm like 2 or 3 paragraphs. I'm like, man, I gotta like take a break from this. It's a lot to digest. I mean, it's amazing. And the VWAP it's not like he came up with it, but the way he uses it, the anchoring, and it's amazing for sure.
Yep. All right. So listeners,
one last thing.
No, go.
For because I was wanting to ask this earlier, for anybody that's like done 3 challenges or 10 challenges or whatever it is, and they like can't hit that payout, or they get to the funded stage and blow it, or what are the 3 components that you would say any trader that listens to it that makes it all the way to this far in the episode? What are 3 components that they need in order to hit that payout? Not just one, but consistently.
You're asking me?
Yeah, just 3 components, like real quick.
First of all, you got to have a strategy that you've mastered, that you're completely married to. You're not bouncing around between 3 strategies. You got to have. That's my recommendation. You're having a strategy, then having a trading plan to where, so what do you do once you're in the trade now? How do you handle the trade? How much are you willing to lose? When do you tap out? And, why are you tapping out? So you got to have a trading plan to handle the trades that you're in. And then the basic psychology, which is, attached to the trading plan. But that psychology of not allowing that human factor of greed or desperation to take over that makes you break your trading plan. You got to have all 3 things. So I'd say that having a strategy, having a plan that handle your trades, and then having the correct mindset and psychology to just be in this business and to be profitable in this business.
So well said.
100%. Yeah.
So well said. Derek, we're going to have to bring you back, bro. You've got some wisdom. You've got some wisdom, dude. And I'm really looking forward to your continued success. So congratulations. I should have said that at the beginning, but congrats on the success, man. It's very well deserved. I can tell you're a hard worker. I can tell you're a disciplined guy. So it's definitely well deserved. And Clay, thank you for making the introduction. I'm glad that Derek and I are connected, and I'm really happy to share your story and the success and the failures that you've had, Derek, because I know people are going to learn from this. So thank you again to both of you. Listeners, thank you guys for staying all the way through. Make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss any of our future episodes. And I'm also going to make sure there is a link down below to connect with Derek, to connect with Clay. And of course, there's a link down below if you want to take a top 1 combine. We can save you at least 30%, right, Clay? We'll probably have some promo we can throw down there. So we'll make sure you guys have that. But for now, we'll put a pin in it, boys. Thank you both very much. Listeners, thank you very much. And we'll see you guys in the next episode.
Thanks. Appreciate it.